right. My headphones in. All right, welcome, welcome, ladies. Thanks so much for joining me today. All right, so I always like to begin my webinar trainings with a little mini dance party, get the energy up, get the spirit moving. How's everybody feeling today? Happy Sunday. All right, awesome. So for those of you who are new to Zoom, I'm going to just give you a little directions. If you're joining us from your computer, you should have a window frame, and that window frame at the bottom, there's a chat window. If you hit that chat icon, it pops the window out, and you should be able to drop in your name and where you're dialing in from today. So if you do that for me right now, I'd so love that. Make sure the chat window is working. And I'm going to just go ahead and mute everybody just so that we are eliminating any background noise. So we get a clear line because we got a lot of great stuff coming at you today. Judy from Georgia, hi. Again, ladies, in the chat window on the side there, at the bottom, if you press chat, it'll pop out the chat window. I'm not sure why I'm not being able to mute everybody. I'll try it with my keyboard shift. Oh, because I'm unmuting everybody. There we go. All right, everybody's muted. All right, and in the chat window, again, your name, where you're dialing in from. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay? Are you really excited to have more fun attracting your man into your life? We could all use a little bit more fun. The roller coaster is real. I know. Awesome. All right, so there's a little bit of a delay with the chat, but we should be all good to go. Just crawled out of bed. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm glad that you could make it. And let me just pull up my slide window here. All right. Great. Well, I am super, super thrilled and so grateful for all of you joining me today. This is a live encore presentation of the webinar training that I held a little bit earlier this week. And the benefit of coming to the live encore is that there's been some tweaks and changes and some upgrades and some new stuff that I didn't give Wednesday night. So you actually get a little bit of a bonus. So thank you so much for being here. And I will be taking questions at the end, so you can drop your questions as they come up in the chat window, and at the end I'll be addressing them all. So if anything comes up for you, a comment, a question, just drop it in the chat and I will be looking at it throughout. However, any questions I'll be addressing at the end. And I'm just so thrilled and grateful to be sharing this content with you, because it's been a game changer in the way that I attracted my husband Nick into my life, and the way that I attract anything into my life, really. And I know that this can be a powerful training for you if you step into your beginner's mindset. You know, a lot of times we get into these trainings, we get on these calls, or like it's an interview or something, and you're in this position of like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, I know that, and then you kind of go about your day and move on. And that's something that I like to call the I know that syndrome. And you may have heard that the I know that syndrome from mentors that I've studied with, Matt Boggs, Mary Morrissey. They all talk about this concept of the I know that syndrome. So if you find yourself hearing a concept or hearing some of the lessons that I'm teaching and you're thinking, yeah, I've heard that before, I know that, just be careful not to bypass it and tuck it away and move on, because you hear me say this again, information does not equal transformation. So if we haven't adopted these principles into our life, into our very cellular being, into our DNA, then it's very easy to dismiss them as, you know, something that we've heard about or maybe even tried on once, but we haven't really dive deep into or given it our all to really like process and live through. So beginner's mindset, an open heart and an open mind. And let's just go ahead and I'm gonna start sharing my screen. So do me a favor in the chat window, if you could give me a little thumbs up if you see my screen. Let's see, I think it's this guy here. And I got one more. Boop. Okay, and then I just need to pop out the chat in its own window. Great, okay, so I've got my chat up. I've got my little presentation. And if you guys have the chat window up, could you just drop me a little, hey there, I see your screen, your pretty little picture. Can you see my face too? Can you guys still see me maybe in a corner? You can see my screen. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Sarah. You see the screen. Do you guys still see me? And you can see me as well. Thank you. Excellent. Wonderful. I love this technology. How great. You're on the side with us. Excellent. In the small window to the right. Hey, wonderful. Beautiful. Technology. It works so wonderfully. Excellent. All right. So this is going to be an interactive presentation. So thank you for being in the chat window. Stay in the chat window because I want to make sure that we're on the same page. First and foremost, we are talking about playful love attraction today, how to attract your man with more fun, ease, and joy. So right away, just give me a 1 in your chat box window. Just type a 1 in if you're like, hell yes, I'm so ready for more fun, ease, and joy in attracting my man because I'm hitting a wall or whatever's coming up for you. Excellent. Beautiful. Yes, ready. I got some 1s. I got it ready. Brilliant. All right. So again, making sure that we're on the same page. Keep those 1s coming if you are experiencing frustration on your love attraction journey, frustration or impatience. Give me a 1 for every one of these that you resonate. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that you're in the right place, because these are some of the things that today's training is going to cover. If you feel like you're putting effort into attracting love, if you feel like that effort is work, give me a 1 in the chat box. Sarah, all of it. Yeah, I hear you. Judy, many 1s. Brilliant. Give me a 1 if you feel like you're tired of putting yourself out there. If it's like, ugh, just like one of those ugh moments. We'll talk about the ugh moment in a moment. Give me a 1 if you're dancing the line of losing hope that he exists, that you're just not even sure if it's even out there for you. Yeah, a lot of resonance there. Okay. I hear you, ladies. Give me a 1 if you're fed up with disappointing first dates or dates that don't go anywhere. Guy who texts, gives you all the right words, but then no action. No dates at all, says Stacy. Yeah, that's disappointing. We'll turn that around. Give me a 1 if you are ready to turn your love boat around and have more fun attracting. I know you guys already said it, but let's just do it. Great. All right. 1. All right. And give me a 1 if you are ready to ditch the drama and embrace the journey. So no more drama, just fun, joy, information, feedback, self-love, joy, beauty, excitement. Great. And give me a 1 if you're ready to celebrate yourself every step of the way, because that's really what we're going to be amping up today is our self-love, self-celebration, how we make the ride easeful, joyful. Yes, excellent. Got Carol Ann, Stacy, Judy, Anna. Thank you, ladies. Everybody else who's on the line, your chat box, if you're on your phone, you should be able to pop it up. If you touch your screen, your menu should come up and you can join in all of the fun. All right. So excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear that we're all on the same page. And I wanted to give you a little preview that today in our training, I'm going to be covering a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, three golden nuggets to create more fun, joy, and ease attracting your man. And that's going to include a powerful mindset hack to show you how love is abundant and available to you. All right, so I'm going to give you one of my favorite tools that you can adopt right away to put into your practice to deepen your abundance mindset in love right now. So we're going to talk about the what and the why, and I'm going to give you a tool to give you the how. I also have a practice that will get you into action and having more fun right away. Strategies for dating that dial down the emotion and dial up the fun. I know that's one of the big things that comes up for the women that I speak with in my community, is just this roller coaster of emotions. So we get to kind of harness that and like get a handle on that so that we can look at it in such a way that generates more fun and excitement. And how to stay in high vibration, enthusiasm and joy and fun on your journey, because who knows how long the journey might be. For me, if I look at the big picture of it, gosh, I mean, I probably was on that journey for 12 years, maybe longer. But then there was a light switch moment, and then it was a matter of months that it appeared into my life. So we want to make sure that from whatever point you're on to that light switch moment to the point where he reveals himself as your man in your life, that you are enjoying the ride and having fun and just generating so much self-love and self-celebration. So, and for those of you who stay on the line until the very end, I have two offers, two awesome things. I've got a free gift and a free bonus. Who doesn't live gifts and bonuses? And both of these are designed to support you in adopting the steps that I'm giving you today so that you can attract your great love with joy, fun, ease, and abundance. All right. So both of the things that I'm offering at the end of the call are going to support you in some way. Okay. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, if you're new to me, if you're just joining us on this training, I'm Bex Burton. I'm a certified dream builder and love coach. And it is my mission in life to lead armies of women to their deeply connected, divinely matched true love. And I've been inspired to step into this service myself, thanks to the extraordinary love that I attracted into my life. And the thing is that 6 years ago, I was out there just like you, solo on the dance floor and wondering, where is my guy? Where is my guy? I'm ready. I'm done with this whole single loneliness. Where's my guy? And in previous trainings, I've shared a lot about what led me to that light switch moment. Releasing Mr. 80% was one of them. We'll talk about that a little bit today. And recently, in an email that I shared to you guys, I talked about how I almost stood up my husband, Nick, on our first date. So I'm still in that process of attracting, and the thing about it is that, I had been single for several years, and I had several relationships that ended disastrously. And I had already begun to develop my own system for dating that I now share with my clients. And I was practicing that, which I call now conscious dating practice. We're going to talk about that today. And even though I was in that system, it was kind of like this system that I was developing for myself. And it was not without its own speed bumps, disappointments, and heartaches. And it was definitely a step up from what I had been doing before, which I'll talk about. But, I was definitely at this point where dating started to feel like a chore. And I was getting detached, and I was getting tired and unimpressed with the results that I was generating. And I was feeling like I just wanted to take a break and opt out. Now, give me a 1. Actually, let's switch it to a 2. Throw a 2 in the chat box if you are resonating with that feeling, if you have been there, if you are there now, where dating starts to feel like a chore, you're getting tired, you're unimpressed, you're feeling like you just want to take a break, opt out. Excellent. There's a few of you out there, yes. So the day that I was supposed to go out with Nick, I was visiting with a friend, and she was asking me, what are your plans tonight? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going out on another first date. And I had this eye roll moment. And here's my best friend on the screen. She's not really my best friend, but I just use her a lot because the eye roll is so great. But I had this moment, and my friend called me out, and she's like, you're not excited? What's going on? You've got a first date. And and I took a moment to really check myself, and I got curious, and I was scanning myself and asking myself, okay, what's up? Why am I not excited about this first date? And what I started to realize, what I started to notice was that I wasn't wanting to get my hopes up. I was kind of holding back my desire. And I didn't want to invest too much energy because who knows how it was going to go, right? I know you guys are resonating. If you're resonating, drop a 3 in the chat box. I was feeling like it might be a long time before I would know if this was going to go anywhere. I didn't really feel like going out on yet another first date. It just felt like I was having a lot of first dates, or a lot of maybe first and second dates, and nothing was really going anywhere. And honestly, I felt like it was safer to just stay home, grab some takeout, and have a little Netflix marathon. I know you've been there. I know you're like, and this is what I'm doing on a Friday night. Maybe this is what you did last night, and that's totally cool. At the same time, I was also noticing that I couldn't stop thinking about what he had written. Nick and I met online. This is a topic for another webinar, but I really like what he wrote to me. We had a lot in common that felt very resonant. Like he was a professor teaching the same courses that I had taken as an undergraduate. I mean, like we studied the same thing. We were working in the same field. And he wasn't that bad looking, so that really helped. So I decided to create a shift in myself. I decided to up my own perception of possibility through fun. And so what I did was I went out into my neighborhood, and what you're seeing on the screen is graffiti in my neighborhood at the time. And I went out and danced. And at the time I was really big into hula hooping. I was teaching hula hoop dance and teaching Pilates and personal training and performing. And I was doing a whole bunch of stuff in the body. And going out and dancing with a hula hoop was my joy. It was my bliss. It was my loving solitude. And so I went out and danced, and I brought a speaker and I brought a camera, and it was like approaching sunset. And I made this little video because I was making a lot of videos at the time. And this is the actual video that I made the day I met my husband. Isn't that crazy? Yes, that is me. That's me. This is 6 years ago when I was big into hula hoop and circus performance. But what happened from that little dance session was that I began to appreciate how much fun I can generate on my own. A sense of just completion, self-completion, where I just didn't feel like I needed anything more. I just felt like very complete on my own. And I got myself to this place of neutral, which I think is really important. You know, a lot of times when we're shifting our vibe, sometimes we're like in the toilet and we're like, how on earth am I going to get to high vibe? And I think neutral is a very powerful halfway point. If we can't get to that high vibrational state, if we can aim for neutral, then that's at least part of the way, right? So I got myself to neutral, and then I got back and I was all freaked out because I only had like a half an hour to get myself all showered and pretty and, you know, get on the train. And then he called me and he told me that he was delayed. He had a project that was working overtime, and I was like, oh, that's okay. We don't have to meet up. No, it's cool. And here I am, even so I got to myself to neutral, and I'm still trying to get out of it. I'm like, oh no, we can rain check this. And he was very persistent. He said, no, I absolutely want to see you. Let me come to you. Where are you right now? And so I'm like, all right, if this guy's going to work that hard, then I'm not going to work as hard. You come to the end of my block. So I gave him a meeting point. I had a restaurant at the end of my block, and I said, you come to me. So he came to me, and what I noticed was that he was handsomer in person than his photos, and he did a really great job of intriguing me and holding my attention and flattering me. And honestly, ladies, that night changed my life. Oops. There we are today. And I know that my ways of being abundant, conscious, and in practice, and staying in the realm of possibility was really what led me there, what led me to being open to him, what led me to saying yes even when I wanted to say no. And it wasn't just for sticking it through that night, but for every night before that, for every first date, through every date that fell through every date that ghosted, through every date that was less than extraordinary, for continuing to show up and for continuing to bring myself not just to neutral, but beyond neutral, and to, there's just so much about it, but like my ways of being abundant, conscious, curious, being in practice, being patient with myself first and foremost. All right, so I'm going to be talking a lot about this tonight. I'm going to be today 3 golden keys that I used on my journey and why they're so crucial in creating a joyful, abundant, transformational, fun path to big love. Okay, so let's get right into it. Step 1 is creating and cultivating an abundance mindset. And I know, again, we may have heard this before. We might have, this might be not new information. But I'm going to talk to you about what abundance mindset is, why it's so crucial, and help you recognize where you're not living in an abundance mindset. So back to the chat window. Okay, give me a 4 in the chat box. So just type your 4s if you resonate with any of these. All right, I'm going to give you situations, thoughts that really outline the opposite of abundance. So we're going to identify the opposite of abundance is lack, and we're going to start to identify where these lack principles show up, either consciously or subconsciously in our dating life. All right, in our love life. So give me a 4 in the box. I know the screen says 1. Okay, let's go back to 1. Why not? So it's not confusing. Give me a 1 or a 4. Thanks, Judy. She gave me both. If you have ever thought or said to yourself, all the good ones are taken. I mean, that's a pretty standard, limited belief. A lot of us have thought that or felt that in the past. And I just saw Circa chime in on the chat. Circa, I'm sending you so much love today. Aloha, my love, beauty. Okay, evidences of lack. There are no good men where I live. Oh, God, I mean, a lot of us think that. I've tried everything. Give me a 1 in the box if you've tried everything. And this is one of the more subtle evidences of lack. But if you think about it, God, I've tried everything is such a statement that there's absolutely no hope for you. There's absolutely nothing left for you. You've tried everything. You might as well just pack it up and go home. So just recognize, and here we go. No judgment. None of this is laced with judgment. All of this is just information for you to recognize, turn your light switches on, your light switches of awareness, and be like, oh gosh, wow, that thought is really holding me back. Okay. So ones, I've tried everything. I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. All right. Again, limiting beliefs about yourself. I'm doing something wrong. Is that true? We'll get to that in a second. Online is not my thing. All right. I have heard that from so many of you, right? All right. I got a bunch of ones. I don't have a big social circle. Yeah, Stacy's got, I have no idea what to do to find a good man. I just have no idea what to do. Such a statement of lack. And we'll talk about that. I'll unpack that in a minute. I've got a whole bunch more. So again, if there's any of these that have electricity for you, meaning if any of these that I'm rattling off are like, oh my God, that's what I say all the time, write it down so that you're really aware, because these statements are not helping you in any way. All right. But if we write it down, then you can be aware of the pattern of thought that's closing that door to love. Okay. Oh, nobody's set me up yet. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. Nobody's really setting me up. I've got a bunch of friends. They all know that I'm single, but nobody's doing anything about it. And that's a beautiful example of victim mindset. And again, there's no judgment, and I don't want you to think that I'm calling you victim, but there is something that is called victim mindset when you personally don't believe that you have agency or control or any hand in changing your situation. Okay, so that is the definition of victim mindset. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. If you have patterns of overgiving, give, or if you have patterns of not setting or honoring your own boundaries, that is lack, absolutely. And that's a sneaky one, right? But here's the thing. If you're giving so much, you're in this place of fear that if you don't give enough, then what you desire, who you're loving or giving to, is going to disappear or abandon or leave you. Boundaries. What boundaries? Funny, Judy. Yes, boundaries. Men love women with boundaries, believe it or not. Boundaries are sexy. Boundaries are strong. I did a whole interview with Brian Reeves, and he was talking about how sexy women with boundaries are. Irresistible, I believe he called them. Okay, comparison of yourself with other women. If you compare yourself, oh man, like how in the world does she have a guy like that? All right, that's another evidence of lack mindset. When we think he's just not out there, another evidence of lack mindset. Everyone is already coupled. Again, throw me some ones in the chat box if you're resonating with these things, if you notice yourself saying these things to yourself. I'm just not around enough men. I don't really engage. I don't have a lot of men in my life. Yep. All right. There's a good comparison. Most women seem cooler and better than me. And that's a self-worth conversation. Not recognizing your own radiance, your own brilliance, your own BFD-ness. A fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. When we self-sabotage, that's lack. When we're settling for Mr. 80%. Mr. 80% is the guy that we love. Now remember, I've done a couple of talks on Mr. 80%. We love him. He's so flippin' great. Like, we love the way we feel around him. We love what we do together. But he's only available like one day a week. Or he won't introduce you to his friends and family. Or there's just that like 20% where he's just not closing the gap. Oh, settle for Mr. 20%. Well, Mr. 20% is definitely wrong. Like, Mr. 20% is the one that we absolutely know is wrong, but we go there anyway because, but it's the same feeling of lack. Something's better than nothing, right? I've heard that from many of you. And just cut that out. Just cut it out. Ambivalence is another symptom of lack, and that is holding back desire. Oh, I want to be realistic. Okay. Avoiding vulnerability, avoiding authenticity. Again, kind of holding yourself back, not really willing and able to go there to really like wear your heart on your sleeve, likely because you've been hurt before and you don't want that to happen again. Oh, this is a good one for all my mamas out there. My child really needs me. I can't really devote any time to a relationship right now because I just can't see taking that time away from my kid. Now, I totally understand that. At the same time, what lesson, what values are you teaching your children when you're putting your happiness on a shelf until they're driving or graduated from high school, graduated from college, when you've got that empty nest? Are you really willing to put your happiness on the shelf for 10, 15 more years? Okay. An unwillingness to compromise your schedule or your routine. That was me for sure. That was definitely lack mindset, time scarcity. Oh yeah, well, I'm really busy, but maybe we can meet up next month. Instead of just being willing to grab a phone call or a cup of coffee or like a 20-minute something here or there. Okay, great. So at this point now, you've got some ideas of where lack is showing up in your belief system, where lack is showing up in your story. And the reason why it's so important to recognize where lack is showing up for you is because And again, you may have heard this before, but your thoughts become your words become your actions become habits become your character, the ways of being, your ways of being, and that becomes your reality or your destiny. And I know that this is, an oft-used quote, but the truth is that your limiting beliefs absolutely begin to shape your experience. And the thing is that when we zoom the lens out and we start to see what is true for women on a global scale or women across the board, are we finding that what we're experiencing is unique to us, unique to a small portion of women, or the truth for every woman on the planet? And the reason me is saying that is that for most of us, it feels true because this has been our experience. This has been the path that we've walked, and maybe we've gotten the same results over and over, so that has shaped our perception, our reality, to being a certain way. But again, when we zoom the lens out, we look at it, and ask, is this a universal truth? Chances are the answer is no. Okay? If we look at the most successful people on the planet right now, and this could be the most successful in wealth, in love, in career, in health, the healthiest people, the most athletic. Success leaves clues. Okay, so let's think about maybe even the people in your life who have the kind of relationship that you would love to have, the kind of playful, best friend, lover, soulmate partnership that you would absolutely, that you just admire. You just love these people. Think about them. And the thing that's different about them is that they think differently. They approach the aspects of their life in a different way. Okay, so if it's love, they think about love differently than you do. And the primary, the foundation of the way they think differently is setting up an abundance mindset. So the perception of an abundance mindset starts with asking yourself about all of those limiting beliefs, all those beliefs that I rattled off. Is there a different way? What if it was different? Okay, because for half the female population on the planet, it is different. So you can just begin asking yourself, what if it was different? What if it wasn't this way? What would it look like? And one of the ways that we can begin to think of love attraction in a different way is, again, just shifting our perception and focusing on abundance, recognizing where in our life abundance is very real, very visceral. And when we start to think about our life that way in abundance terms, and we start to recognize that we have a roof over our head and food on the table and clothing on our back, and we have a lot of the things that we need in life, and many of those things are laid out for or are taken care of. We've taken care of, and we don't have need or want in a lot of areas of our life. Maybe we've got an extraordinary community of friends. Maybe we've been blessed with excellent health. Maybe we've got a phenomenal thriving career and like money in the bank and investments and a home. When we start to think about this way, we start to think about how much of our life is taken care of, we can begin to think of our love attraction process as a gift, as a blessing, as a privilege. Like how many people in the world don't have those things? And their day-to-day struggle is, or their day-to-day priority is finding clean water, putting food on the table that's healthy, or finding clothing that doesn't have holes in it. When we think about how blessed we are, all that we do already have, and that the fact that our love attraction process is our priority in life right now, how blessed are we? What a privilege we have to be attracting divine love in our life. What a blessing we have that we were born into a life where we're not set up in an arranged marriage, or we're not, I mean, there are so many alternatives that are so much less than our current experience. So abundance mindset, first and foremost, begins with a perception shift and really accepting and appreciating the foundation of abundance that we already have beneath us. So another reason why it's so important, and one of the things that we can do about it, is that we can spend our time, and this is what we do, right? We spend a lot of time gathering evidence of lack. We gather evidence of why we can't have what we want, or why our belief is true. However, and you've heard this before too, energy flows where our attention goes. So what would happen if we gathered evidence to support the abundance of love in our life? If we shifted our perception, again, recognize the foundation of abundance that we already stand upon, recognize that attracting love as a priority in our life is a flippant privilege, a blessing, a gift, and then start to look for evidence to attract that supports. Okay, so Anna's asking, how do we do this? Great question. Well, one of the things is that we are looking for evidence that what we desire already exists in the world. And what the free bonus that I have for you actually speaks right into this. So you stay to the end of the call. I've got a free bonus that is an ebook that I put together of love stories, extraordinary love stories. I called it Too Wild to Be Coincidence, because what I look for in the women that I coach and the women that I work with is this belief of not only abundant love, but like big magic. And if you've read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, this is the kind of the same principle in love that I look for. I've experienced in my life. I've witnessed in so many people in my community, the women that I work with. And what that is just recognizing all of the universal alignment, the divinity that has been peppered throughout this love attraction process. So gathering evidence that abundant love exists. You can read this ebook. All right, you can read Too Wild to Be Coincidence. It's a collection of love stories that are intended to inspire you and help you gather the evidence that, oh my God, everything that I want, actually, it exists. It may not be in my physical reality yet, but she's got it, she's got it, she's got it, she's got it, right? Which again is that perception shift away from lack, which is like, oh God, if she can have it, what's wrong with me? Instead of, wow, she's got it. What a beautiful example that it exists, okay? But does it also exist for me? Yes, absolutely, Evelyn. Great question. And that's a deeper conversation of your own self-worth, believing, deserving, okay? So step one, and again, shifting into that abundance mindset will help you cultivate that deserving and that self-worth. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy. This is not an easy practice, nor is it a once and done. It's like a muscle that you flex, that you build, strengthen, right? We don't go to the gym once and believe that we can lose 50 pounds. It's the same thing. Abundance mindset is something that you have to practice every day, if not every day. No, every day. Every day, every hour, every minute, you have that choice to shift your perception. Okay? So the other thing about abundance mindset is you gain strength in numbers. So when you have partners in believing, it's much easier to practice this mindset. It's much easier to stay and return to this mindset versus when you have people around you, Debbie Downers and toxic relationships, giving you input that is, again, supporting that lack mindset. It's going to pull you out of that abundance believing. And it's also going to feed the internal conversation of lack mindset. All right. So it's harder when you're trying to do this on your own, which is why the women who walk with me towards their path to big love have a lot of success. They have a lot more success in preparing for receiving big love in their life because they're consistently reminded and they're held accountable to that perception shift. Okay. Because they're, again, consistently reminded of alternatives to lack mindset. and consistently held accountable to upholding and reinforcing that mindset. It's just so important. Like it's like, it's kind of a funny analogy. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I do funny metaphors. I guess this would be more like a metaphor, but it's like braces. It's like Invisalign, which I'm actually looking into right now. But you know, we just can't put it on once and believe that we're going to straighten our teeth. You know, it's like, it's a commitment to wear those braces every day, morning and night, and then brush your teeth in between. You know, it's a system. It's a system of thought. Okay. So before we move on to step 2, I want to, how to convince the part of me who doesn't believe it. Evelyn, I hear it totally. Circa, thanks for chiming in on the chat. Anna, you're ready for deep, authentic, connected love. I feel it for you, beauty. Absolutely. Partners in believing. Thank you for demonstrating my point, Circa. So again, Evelyn, I totally hear you on, you know, and I speak about this in the work that I do with my clients, which is that disconnect between the fear-based conversation of all of those lack beliefs. It does it really exist for me, versus the voice of our heart, the voice of our intuition, which is what I believe is the voice of God speaking through us, and that deep inner knowing that it absolutely is out there for us. All right. And so if you're having difficulty with, you know, those two voices at battle, and not being able to quell the fear-based voice, and really hone in on that intuitive voice, that deep inner wisdom, that loving, connected, heart-based voice, then we should talk, because that's what I specialize in, is getting women out of fear and into love. All right. And that's basically, I mean, if you're going to boil down to like just a one sentence thing of what I do with women on their journey to love, that's a big part of it, is dialing down tools and skills and strategies to consistently dial down the fear and choose love, choose love, choose love. Okay. Because that's what it takes to attract a big, extraordinary love into your life. All right. So step 2, gathering evidence of abundance of love. Step 2, we're entering a conscious dating practice. And some of you are there already. Some of you are still working on the abundance mindset. Totally cool. The thing is that you have to start before you're ready. You may have heard me talk about this before. You may have heard other teachers talk about this before. But there's this hesitation that we have, where we're like, oh, I'm not ready, or I've got to work on myself, or I've got to fix myself before I put myself out there. And I'm going to call BS on kind of all of that, because when we enter into a conscious dating practice, that's actually where we learn so much and have more tools and skills that we can apply in attracting the love that lasts. All right. So what is a conscious dating practice? First and foremost, it is dating with intention. All right. So you're not going into any of the dates willy-nilly. You're at the same time, you're also dating for fun. So it's and releasing a lot of outcome and expectation, and just going for the sake of going. You're dating for information and for feedback. All right. And this is really the important tool, the important key, especially when we're talking about starting before you're ready. All right. So if you're feeling like you're not ready, the thing is that a conscious dating practice is really just giving you information and feedback for you to learn from and pivot and shift and shift and shift until you're showing up in the ways of being that are attractive to your lasting love. So conscious dating practice is one of the foundations that I teach in the work that I do with my clients. And the reason for this is because I noticed that we hold such a white knuckle grip on a white knuckle grip of expectation on the dates that we go on. And I certainly know that this was my experience in my own practice, you know, and you might resonate with this too, which is every date that I had, or every even conversation that I had lined up, or every eye contact and smile that I made with somebody was like, are you my guy? Are you my guy? You know, and like every date was like, okay, is this my boyfriend? Like, are we, what's next? What is this relationship going to look like? What do I have to do to get this guy to be my boyfriend, to commit to me? And I was putting so much pressure on each experience, so much pressure on like the outcome of it, what was going to happen, what I was going to get out of it, was that, you know, I ended up just going in the direction of whatever came my way, instead of really being conscious and intentional about it, that I ended up in less than extraordinary relationships. And, you know, and a lot of us, like, we enter into relationship with like this idea of like, well, I'll just see where it goes. Or, well, this is good enough. This is better than nothing. And I'll try this on for a while. I'll see where it goes. And that can be what ends up happening in those situations, is that we end up 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years down the line, and we're consistently unhappy. We're consistently looking for, how can I change him? How can I get him to commit? Instead of just cutting the cord, releasing with blessing and moving on in again, abundance mindset, belief that there's something even more extraordinary out there for us, right? Which is why abundance mindset is so important in this conscious dating practice. So in your conscious dating practice, I have this theory that I teach my clients, and I'll give it to you, that dating is like shopping for dresses, right? If you imagine that you have an event that you want to go to, it's in a few months, and you absolutely want to look fabulous, then you're on a mission. You're all of a sudden on a mission to find like the most extraordinary dress. And you go to your first shop, you go to the first boutique, and you try on a handful of dresses, and there may be nothing that you like. Okay? Do you stop there and say, well, I guess I can't go. I have nothing to wear. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to go home. Nothing to wear. The shop didn't have anything. I'm done. Okay, maybe a couple of you will do that. But and that's because maybe shopping brings up similar feelings. But so notice what you're noticing with this analogy here. All right, the way you do one thing is likely the way you do everything, and we can shift your approach and have more fun. And in the dress shopping, maybe you start noticing what cuts look really good on you, or what colors your eyes are really drawn to, or what kind of style or what kind of look you want to go for. Maybe you want to go for something more vintage, or maybe you want to go for something more glam, or something old Hollywood. So you're then beginning to narrow your search, and not only narrowing your search, but you're then beginning to narrow the dresses that you choose to reflect the new perception, the new ways of thinking that you're like consciously selecting from your dress choices. And maybe you're still having difficulty finding the right one. And at that point, maybe you recruit a second set of eyes. Maybe you call a girlfriend or a family member and ask her opinion and support. Hey, what do you think of this on me? Right? I know a lot of us have done that. And the same thing is true in a conscious dating practice. So why is it so important for us to be in a conscious dating practice versus willy-nilly, or just not even really aware of what we're doing? Well, the reason is that everything is information. All right. And I think that where we get tripped up is we internalize a lot of things, and we take things so personally, where the truth is that what we're doing is a practice, and that everything that's coming back our way is information. So again, keyword is practice. You don't get it right. You don't get it wrong. You just do. Okay. So like any other practice, like you might have a meditation practice or a yoga practice. Maybe you even engaged in that practice today. Did you get your yoga practice right today? Did you do your meditation right? Like we don't often have those same judgments on the daily practices that we do. You know, maybe we have a study practice, or we read for 10 minutes a day, or maybe we read the Bible, or maybe we go for a walk in nature. Did you do that right? Or did you do it wrong? Again, so, you know, when we apply those judgments to other practices that we have, it's very weird, right? So why would we apply the same judgment to a conscious dating practice, when really what we're doing is we're going in for feedback, for information, for fun, for curiosity, to flex our muscles of abundance mindset, okay? So if you don't already have a daily practice, then I absolutely suggest you adopt one right away. And that could look like 10 to 15 minutes of any of those things that I just mentioned, and commit to start with 4 days a week. Because if you can hit 4 days a week, then you're hitting the majority, and you can gradually work yourself up to 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week in that daily practice. And the daily practice is that, honestly, that's one of the very first things that I instruct my clients to do when they step into working with me. Because if we're not giving ourselves that period of time for loving solitude, which I believe is Catherine Woodward Thomas's words, loving solitude. I just love it so much. But that inner reflection, that quiet time, that space for our intuition, that the voice of the heart to come through. Okay, so notice, and also in your daily practice, you can notice what you're noticing. Notice what comes up for you. Notice what's showing up about your commitment, about your progress, when you're putting judgment on it. And that reflection, that awareness that you have in your daily practice, you can then apply to a conscious dating practice. All right, so that consciousness, that awareness of, oh, wow, I'm really judging myself for not being active in my dating practice this week, or I'm really judging myself for having a shitty date. I'm really like getting down on myself, instead of just being in that practice of like, yay, I had a shitty date. That's great. I have to have like so many less than extraordinary dates to have an extraordinary date, right? Because it's all part of the practice. It's all part of the process. So everything is information and feedback. And the more research you do, the better informed you are, and the better decisions that you can make when you have more information. So run the research, this research, through the filter of your intuition versus your fear-based lack beliefs. All right. So again, when we're in that conscious dating practice and we're receiving this information, notice when you're applying your lack filters on that information versus how can I look at this non-judgmentally, or how can I look at this from a neutral place? How can I look at this from the voice of my intuition, the voice of my heart? Okay, and this is when a second set of eyes is so helpful, because that lack mindset is like blinders. I can already see Evelyn, she's saying in the chat, what if there's no one to date? It's probably a great way of keeping ourselves safe, right? Yes, absolutely. Blinders. What if there's no one to date? Evelyn, there are so many men out there to date. So again, this is why a second set of eyes on your situation, on your belief system, is so helpful, to just open up the doors of possibility, take the blinders off, and see what the 360-degree view of truth is. Okay? So just a little breath, tiny sip of water. All right, we're coming up on step 3. Step 3, ladies, love the process. Again, I can like hear the eye roll. Bex, really? That's your step 3? But the truth is that yes, yeah. I mean, if we can't find love for our process, then what the heck are we doing anyway? We're just dragging around the ball and chain, and then we're going to attract a ball and chain, and then you're going to be in a relationship, a marriage, where you refer to your husband as ball and chain, right? Because you're dragging that heaviness and that disastrousness. All right, so the point of loving the process is it sets you up for success at all points of your journey. And the reason why I say this is because an epic love story is not built in one shot. I cherish the path that led me to Nick. I cherish every twist and turn, every dark night, every tear-soaked night, even when I didn't think love was possible. And the truth is that in part of loving the process, we get to accept that life is hard. Now, this is not the message of cake and rainbows. This is not something that you want to hear. But the truth is that life is not easy. Like if it were easy, we would all have everything that we want. We'd be on a yacht right now. We'd be sipping martinis. We'd be laughing good times, but we'd all be bored, right? Because we have not had to learn or grow or achieve anything in order to get what we want. So when we accept life is hard, but when we choose that struggle is optional, it really shifts our perception. It shifts our experience on our path to love. Okay? So your journey to love might be hard, but your struggle is a choice. You don't have to struggle. Okay? Again, part of loving the process is appreciating that all of life is growth. That in order to love the process, in order to get through the hard parts, you get to grow. You get to shift. Tony Robbins says that if you're not growing, you're dying, which I think is such a beautiful statement. And if you think about it, our hair is always growing, our fingernails are always growing, our ears are always growing. Even this tiny little sprout in the frame here has pushed through concrete to seek out the light of the sun. You know, we cannot help but grow. Growing is our nature, our purpose. And in order for us to attract extraordinary love, we get to grow into that extraordinary self that attracts extraordinary love. Now, this does not mean that you have to change who you are. Absolutely not, because you already are a bright, beautiful, beaming light of source energy and brilliance. However, it does mean that you get to evolve. You get to think differently about yourself, about men, about what's possible for you in your life. You get to think differently. All right? Loving the process is also detaching your value from your results. All right? Now, I've talked a lot about detachment versus unattachment. Unattached is just showing up full out, but releasing, attachment to the outcome. But detaching is completely like disconnecting. And I find that a lot of times with the women that I speak with, we have so much of our own personal value placed in our results. So when we find that we're having a difficult time attracting dates or getting noticed or getting attention or getting a second date, we're taking it personally. We're reading it as there's something wrong with me. I'm not showing up enough, or I'm not enough. I'm wrong in some way. All right. So detaching from the results, first and foremost, is recognizing how you internalize your results. All right. So I got Circa saying, yeah, I feel you. I know a few more of you are resonating with this. I mean, I myself, I noticed many times I've glossed over process. Like I've heard something, I've learned something, and I'm like, oh, I totally get that. And then I'm like 5 minutes later in a temper tantrum, just like, well, why the hell can't I get it right? I get it. What's wrong with me? Like I in all of my movement training, in the decade and a half that I was a movement teacher, I would do all these workshops and trainings and everything would make so much sense. I've studied anatomy, I've studied kinesiology, I know how the body works. So why can't I do this right? It's because there's a learning curve that I was not honoring. There was a process that I was not honoring. There was a journey that I was not honoring. I'm looking at the end going like, what's wrong with me that I can't have that? All right, so just notice, first and foremost, recognize how you're internalizing results, okay? And one way that we can combat that is saying to ourselves, I'm good enough, I am enough, I'm good enough, I can have what I want, and continuing to remind ourselves of these things, because you are who you are. You're worthy because, again, you're a bright, beaming ray of source energy. You've been put on this planet for a reason, and one of those reasons is to love. So just in and of that, it makes you worthy of love. So seeing your worth and your value in your evolution, your growth, who you're becoming, who you're choosing to be in this ever expanding point of consciousness. I mean, all of that makes you worthy of love. Okay, so detaching from the results, loving the process, detaching from the results, and really focusing on the journey. All right, and why this is so important is because there's really no getting there. What have I got here? Yeah, there's no getting there. I want you to write that down. There's no getting there. And this is, again, this is something that was a big aha moment for me. And I know for a lot of the women that I attract that work with me, you know, they're very goal oriented, they're very focused, very successful, very type A. So to love the process, why it's so important to be focused on the process is because that goal is just one blip in the timeline of your life. Right now, while it is very important to have goals, there's a difference between being goal-oriented and process-oriented, right? Which I'm going to break down for you right now. So in getting there, there's no destination. But being goal-oriented essentially is you're so connected to the outcome. You're so connected to getting that man, having that man by your side, that your focus hones in on the gap of like, what's wrong with me? Why haven't I gotten it? Why am I not there yet? And essentially what that does is it sets you up for failure, to be a failure every day until that goal is met. And that doesn't feel good. Like to wake up and be a failure every single day until you meet your man. That doesn't have any electricity. That doesn't propel you forward. It's the opposite of loving the journey, right? And it keeps us in a cycle of lack, because every single day that your focus is on how he's not there, it's just deepening that belief system of there's no good men in my temple. There's nobody out here to date. That, you know, lack. Cultivating a mindset that it is never satisfied even when the goal is met. This is the other thing that being goal-oriented does, okay, is that it's the mindset. So I'm just gathering my thoughts here. My notes are a little funny. Right, even when the goal is met. Because the truth is that, yes, okay, we want to meet our man. Want to meet him. But when that's the goal, and then that goal is met, then there's a whole slew of other goals that are going to come up. There's going to be a whole slew of other gaps to close and bridges to gap. So focusing on that goal until you get to that goal, you're in that cycle of lack, which again cultivates that mindset of lack. So even when you meet that goal, you're not going to be satisfied. There's going to be more lack, another goal, more lack, more dissatisfaction, right? So do you see how that it sets up that never ending, that never winning process, right? Which is what I mean by when I say there's no getting there, because there's always going to be another dissatisfactory thing. Like once you get your man, then you're going to be complaining that he doesn't do the dishes or he doesn't take you out or, you know, this, that, or the other. So what ends up happening is that being goal-oriented becomes this very heavy path, this very arduous, heavy path where you're just not satisfied. You're not happy. Everything is a struggle. Versus when you step into being process-oriented, it shifts the whole dynamic. It shifts the whole parameter. It shifts your entire experience. And what has to happen here is you get hyper-focused on the action, on the doing and the being versus the outcome. All right? So that involves daily commitment and action, right? Where you can say, I'm in a daily practice, and I'm in a daily practice of not only doing, but also witnessing my ways of being. And I'm in a daily practice of non-judgment. And I'm in a daily practice of self-reflection. And I'm in a daily practice of conscious dating, whether I'm meeting men or not. I'm in a practice of conscious dating. I'm in a practice of ritual and ceremony. And I'm in a practice of being me, right? Because there's no perfection. So every day, your whole life is a practice. Being process-oriented offers more room for success and celebration, right? What I mean by that is if you're process-oriented and your commitment is to the action and the doing rather than the outcome, then you can celebrate yourself for showing up. You can celebrate yourself for being in action, for being in doing, for being in practice. You can set micro goals for yourself, celebrate mini wins. You know, this is something that I do with my clients all the time, so that we're breaking down that process into bite-sized chunks and little pieces that are worthy of celebration. Like I have a client who is getting new professional photos for our online dating profile. And she hasn't had, up until now, her dating profile photos have been selfies, like in a dimly lit living room. I mean, come on, sister. All right. Maybe some of you are like, oh shoot, that's me too. So her next step is she's getting new photos taken by a professional photographer. And we're celebrating that step because that's just something that she's kind of known that she's had to do for a while, but she has not done it yet. So we're celebrating that. All right. Okay, so when we're process oriented, we're opening up for not only more success and celebration, but more fun, more joy, more laughter. And what I mean by that is kind of going back to that statement about, ooh, I had a really crappy date. And, you know, and in the moment, yes, the emotions are not aligned with fun and joy and laughter. However, again, when we zoom that lens out and we take a look at the whole love attraction process as a scene from the movie of your life, then you can say, oh, great. Like you can celebrate, okay, I had a less than extraordinary date. I can celebrate that. And I can celebrate the fact that, you know, maybe attracting love is a numbers game. And if I have to have a couple of not so great ones before I have a really great one, and we can laugh at like kind of how bad it was, as long as you're not commiserating, but you're laughing and celebrating yourself for getting through it, getting over it and moving on, picking up and moving on to the next. Time passes slower when you're goal-oriented versus process-oriented. And one of the things that comes up for me around this is, you know, I run long distance. I've been running half marathons now for about a year and a half. And 13.1 miles goes really, really slowly when you're counting miles. And I had a race last November that kind of shifted my whole long distance running experience. I was at about mile 2 and I'm like, am I there yet? I'm ready. You know, it was kind of before like my body dropped in and I started to get into flow. But, you know, and I'm in this place in my head, and I swear, like right around that moment, there was a hawk that flew down in front of me and was chasing a crow. And the two of them were like tumbling midair about 3 feet in front of me. And they kind of like hit the ground and then they flew back up into the air. The crow flew off and the hawk landed on like a telephone, a light, a street lamp. And I'm looking around and there's nobody around me. And I'm like, did that just happen? And for me, I believe in signs. I believe in messengers. And for a very long time, my angels have wings. Like I get a lot of messages in birds. And for me, that moment was like, wake up, be present, focus on the process. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, that was an extraordinary, like this hawk flew out of nowhere. The hawk and the crow tumbled right in front of me. That is definitely a message. That was a gift on my path for me to wake up and pay attention. For the rest of that race, my eyes were open, my heart was open, and I was so present and in the moment and just recognizing every single little piece of magic that I was running by or that was, you know, moving by me. And the same is true for your love attraction process, because there is so much magic, there's so much beauty that is happening that we're blind to because we're so focused on the goal, because we're so focused on like, oh, well, nothing happened today. But when we open our heart and we open our mind, we open our eyes and we get really present on our process, you start to recognize that, like, oh my God, 15 things happened today that were so beautiful and in alignment with my love attraction. And that might be that you wrote a love letter to him, or you sat down at dinner and you blessed your plate, and you said, like, and you blessed him, and you're like, I'm ready for you to show up in my life. You know, so being process oriented, like, break it down to every little thing. Celebrate the action, celebrate the being, celebrate the moment of your process. Everything is happening for you. It's all unfolding in your favor. What would happen? What would your love life be like if you put on those lenses? It's all happening for me. Everything. Releasing the judgment of good and bad. What if it's all happening for me? Again, I know that it's really difficult to stay in that perception and stay in that mindset when you're left to your own devices. You know, we don't always know what to focus on. We don't always know what to celebrate, what to consider a win. You know, there's so many times where, like, like, I'll have a client say, well, you know, I opened up my online dating profile and I had like 3 messages from like these guys that were like, hey, and ugh, I just can't even. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. You got 3 messages? Dance party, glitter toss, you got 3 messages. You're showing up in the algorithm. Like, okay, so what? Yeah, these messages are not from the men that you want to go out on a date with if they're just saying, hey. At the same time, when you're not celebrating that process, when you're not celebrating the little micro steps, you got 3 messages. Then you're saying no thank you to all of the energy that's coming your way. You know, and again, this goes back to abundance, gratitude. You know, there's a saying that, like, you know, if you have a plate, you know, if you can't be grateful for what's on your plate, why on earth would God give you more? So if you can't be grateful for those 3 less than extraordinary messages, when last week you weren't getting any messages, right? If you can't be grateful for that, then why would God give you any more, anything more, right? So bring it back to abundance, bring it back to gratitude. Okay. So those are the 3 juicy nuggets. So let's take a second to review what we've talked about today. And don't forget, stay on the line, because I got a gift and a bonus for you that I don't want you to miss. So thirsty. So step 1, we're talking about cultivating an abundance mindset. Remember, noticing where lack mindset runs rampant in your experience. And I went over a whole bunch of sneaky lack mindset beliefs, and a lot of you guys raised your hand. So just, again, release the judgment. It's not good, it's not bad. Just notice that that's where your brain goes with it. Just notice. And then when it comes up again, you get to put the pause button on and say, wait a minute, what if it weren't this way? What if this was not a universal truth? How can I gather evidence that actually supports what I want existing in this life versus gathering evidence of what I don't want? Okay. Step 2, entering a conscious dating practice. Dating with fun, dating for fun, with intention, with purpose. And that purpose being fun and feedback and information. Everything is information. It's all juicy bits of nugget. Your juicy bits, juicy nuggets, bits of research. You're Sherlock Holmes. You're on an investigatory mission. All right. And loosening the grip of what it should and shouldn't be like. Getting out there and learning and having fun and really just finding the points that you can celebrate along in the process. Step 3, loving the process. It's all happening for you, right? What if it's all happening for you? What if there's something for you to learn from, for you to grow from, or for you to draw a line in the sand from for every experience that you've had? There's no right or wrong. There's no getting there. There will always be a new destination. There will always be a new goal. So you get to love the process all the way in between. And that allows more room for joy and celebration and self-love and patience. And, you know, the more you start focusing on the process, the more You know, I was mentioning that time goes slower when you're focused on the goal. So when you're focused on the process, you start to lose that concept of time, and you're just in this process that feels wonderful, that's beautiful, that ripples out into all areas of your life. Okay? And all right, so let's just take a second. I'm going to review the chat. Throw some love in the chat window. Let me know what's landing for you. Let me know if you have any other questions, because I want to just see how this is resonating with you. What are the things that like you feel like, oh yes, I'm going to put that into practice, or gosh, I think that might be a struggle for me. Okay, Evelyn was talking about loving the distinction between goal versus action doing. What about getting from doing into being, fully present in the feminine energy? Yeah, absolutely, Evelyn. Sure. I think that what I'm speaking about, loving the process, is loving the action and loving the being, loving the softness, the surrender, the trust. The part of the feminine energy is settling into the faith and trust that love exists for us. So when you're asking about what about getting from doing into being, what comes up for me is loving solitude. Again, you know, that 10-15 minutes of daily practice where you're not on your phone, you're not reading, you're not consuming energy. Not consuming energy, you're not consuming content, but you're generating content from the depths of your heart. You're really tuning in, right? That is getting into feminine energy. Yes, faith and trust. Absolutely. And again, when we have partners in believing, when we have a community or sisters that already have this in our life and are greatest cheerleaders, that's one of the things that helps us sustain that way of being and that mentality. When you've got a group of women who are bitter and jaded and, you know, or just have the same lack beliefs that you share, they're just going to keep pulling you down. They're going to commiserate and be like, oh, well, you know, I don't even know why you're bothering. And that's really disconnecting energy, and it really affects us. Okay, so, right. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys so much. I so appreciate you hanging out here on the line. And I know that you got on this training call because you are so ready to tear down the walls that keep you from attracting extraordinary love, ready to open your heart and receive the relationship of your dreams. I can feel it for you. You're closer now than you ever have been before. And I know that you're ready and you're raising your hand to finally attract your incredible man, your best friend, your playmate, your lover, your adventure buddy, the man who wants nothing more than to share the rest of his life by your side. I know that feeling of wanting that. I know that feeling of blinking your eyes and shaking your head and just in slight disbelief and thinking, oh my God, are you it? And then like that moment of like, I'm done, I found him, he's the one. I know that you're all craving that moment, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why you showed up here today. And I know that you want to attract that solid, secure relationship that you can relax into, knowing with all of your heart that it's built to last, that there's no question, no doubt, no fear, that soft landing, the strong foundation where you can continue to grow as an individual and the two of you can continue to grow as a couple, learning about love, learning about life together. I know that you want to attract Mr. 100%. Absolutely. And lately, what I'm hearing from you is that you've been dancing the line of, will it happen? Is it not going to happen? Does he exist? Is it worth the struggle? Is it worth the drama? And I can feel you doubting the experience, doubting it, and the challenge of discouragement, frustration, and patience. I hear it. I know. I've been there. And I know that deep down you know that this is not serving you, that it's not connecting you with your beloved. You know that it's not making you feel great about yourself either. It's making you doubt yourself. It's making you doubt what's possible for you. And the truth is, and what I've learned through my own experience and working with hundreds of women is that your love attraction process is your greatest reflection of your relationship with yourself. And when you're down on yourself and down on your process and down on being single and looking for love, you're making things harder and stretching the road out to meeting your man even longer. You're just making it a longer, complicated process. And I want to make it easier for you. Absolutely. I want to make it easier for you to attract extraordinary, crazy big love. I want to make it easier, and I want to make it a hell of a lot more fun than you've been making it. And that's one of the things that I specialize in doing in the work that I do with the clients that I teach, is just making it more fun, making the process lighter, making your experience lighter, making it more fun. Because I've totally been there. You guys remember that eye roll moment where I was just so flippin' done. It was a chore. Like, I just wanted to go home and have my Mexican takeout and binge watch my Netflix. I almost missed out on my first date with the man who became my husband because I was just done, tired and exhausted and impatient and just didn't want to put myself out there. I just didn't want to go. I know what it feels like. I know how easy it is to fall into that mindset or to not be able to climb out of that mindset. That I just don't feel like it, or is it even worth the time and energy? You know, and the thing is that this training today is just the tip of the iceberg. The truth is, and I've said this before, information does not equal transformation. You know, none of the stuff that I've shared with you today is a once and done. This is all daily practice. This is all flexing the muscle, building the strength, being on the journey, loving the process. And I want to support you in cultivating the ways of being that will clear the runway for your lasting soulmate love to land. I like to think of your man as an airplane, and he's kind of in a holding pattern overhead, and your runway's just not cleared. And this is what I want to do, is I want to help you cultivate the ways of being, the mindset, the ways of being that are going to clear the runway for your soulmate love to land into your life, because I want to make sure that the steps are landing for you, that your process is joyful, is easeful, and that you're not stuck. You're not holding yourself back in this heaviness, and that you know exactly what to do next in your love life. So I'm offering you some free support to move forward towards your beloved. I am opening up my calendar for 10 people only in the next week, or in the next couple of days, actually. It's beginning today, right after this call, for a complimentary Attract Extraordinary Love strategy session. So what's going to happen in this call is I'm going to show you how to create a radically outrageous relationship with yourself that is magnetic to high quality men. I'm going to show you how to cultivate an unshakable abundance mindset to keep you in high vibration. I will show you how to date from a conscious perspective that's focused on having fun and gathering information, shortens your path to love and increases your amount of fun. And I'm going to show you how to aim your target on the process versus the goal so that you can be in a spirit of joy and celebration during the whole ride. How does that sound? I know you guys want that. So in this extraordinary love call, you're going to tell me what you want in your love life, what's your dream case scenario, and what's getting in the way. And I'll be able to create a step-by-step strategy for you specific to your needs wherever you are on your journey to love, so that you get to begin to have more fun, you get to have more joy and ease right away attracting your man. I wouldn't have the relationship that I have today, or the life that I have today, the career, the business that I have today, without getting honest and vulnerable with myself. I wouldn't have the relationship that I have today without allowing love and support in, even when that was really uncomfortable. For me, I definitely had an attitude of, I can do it myself. And the truth was, that wasn't true. I wasn't able to do it by myself. I needed support. I needed a second set of eyes. I needed partners in believing. And today I continue to ask for support in all areas of my life because I don't believe that I have all the answers. And I don't believe that we can accomplish our greatest work alone. I don't believe that we can attract our greatest dreams all by ourselves. I believe that we need a second set of eyes and partners in believing, and community, sisterhood. And when we continue to hit the same walls and create the same results for ourselves over and over again, this is when we get to be humble. This is when we have to stretch and receive support when support is offered. Feedback is crucial, and because I know how challenging it can be to walk this single path, attracting love into your life, I understand what you're going through. I understand this wall that you're hitting. And I want to help you break that wall. And the thing is, what I know about you is that you've been praying for a breakthrough. You've been praying for something to change. And here's your chance for the extraordinary love that you've been waiting for. The thing is, I see your radiance. I see your beauty. I see your brilliance. I see your worthiness. I see your deserving. I see how powerful of a magnet you are for love. It's just blocked. It's just covered up with some layers of doubt and disbelief and undeserving, fear, loneliness, impatience. But I see what's underneath. I see what's there. I'm your sister. I'm your cheerleader, your confidant, and your coach. And I am so grateful for the opportunity and excited to customize a plan for you that's going to break through whatever's holding you back and move you towards breakthrough so that you can attract that soulmate love into your life. So in the chat window, I am going to drop a link. Whoops. Give me a second, but in the chat window, I'm going to drop a link that you can click on, and that will bring you to my online calendar. And I have appointments beginning as early as today to get on the phone with me and, again, share with me what you want, what's getting in the way, so that you can get some honesty, some feedback, and a breakthrough. All right? The choice is yours. That's the thing, is that we can hang out here on these free trainings and you can get a lot of information, and I can remind you that information doesn't equal transformation. So the choice is yours. You can take this training a step further and you can take me up on the offer, get on the phone, and I can give you, I can support you in reaching a breakthrough. Or you can say, this training is good, I'm good, and I can do it on my own, and I might see you here on the next training in 6 months, and 6 months after that, and 6 months after that. Like, how long do you want to be in this holding pattern, this waiting period, or this period of like, well, I'm not ready? But you are, you so are. You've been ready for so long. You've been ready for this love. I mean, get honest with yourself. How long have you been ready to attract this kind of love into your life? And how long have you been tolerating the results that you've been getting? You say that you want love. You say that you've been praying for a breakthrough. And here I am with my calendar wide open and my phone in my hand. So the choice is yours. I'm here to help you, show you the way, because I've been there. I've walked the path, I've cried my tears, I've rolled my eyes, I've shifted, I've opened my heart, and I've found my man. And I want this very same for you. And I want to help you harness these powerful steps so that you can enjoy your wildest imagination soulmate love come true in your life, just as I have in mine. And I want you to love every inch of the process. Okay, so we're going to co-create this dream together, woman. This is how it works. You're going to click on the link, and that will pull up my calendar. If you're joining by phone, you can find the link to my calendar in the email that I just sent you. Select your time zone and then set a one-on-one appointment with me. And if you're outside the US, just I ask that you leave a Skype ID as well as your country code with your phone number, just so that, you know, it kind of gets a little hairy when you're everywhere around the globe, and I want to make sure that we absolutely get our appointment in. And then there's a brief questionnaire for you to fill in when you book that appointment. And the best thing to do is just get honest, get vulnerable, and answer those questions with your whole heart. Okay? I am so looking forward to connecting with you. I'm so looking forward to hearing your vision of soulmate love in your life and why you want it now. I love you so, so much. And my heart soars knowing that I have had a hand in clearing the runway for your soulmate love. And I'm going to pause the recording to thank everybody who's on the replay, but everybody who joined me live, I have a bonus to send you. So that will be the end for the recording. Thank you all so much for joining me. You should have a link to book a call with me if you would like to get some one-on-one feedback on your love life. Ooh, there's the share button. And